Hi everyone, my name is Kristy. We're here at Eastside Freedom Library, again, reading some stories for little people. I'm so happy you can make it. We're gonna start off by reading a book called The Name Jar. All right, y'all ready? Comfortable? Have your snacks? Okay. Through the school bus window, Eun-hye looked out at the strange buildings and houses on the way to her new school. It was her first day, and she was both nervous and excited. She fingered the little block of wood in her pocket and remembered leaving her grandmother in the airport in Korea. Her grandmother had wiped away Eun-hye's tears and handed her an ink pad and a small red satin pouch. "Your name is inside," she had said. "My name?" Eun-hye had wondered. Again, she took out the red pouch to look at the wooden block with her name carved in it. As she ran her fingers along the grooves and the ridges of the Korean characters, she pictured her grandmother's smile. "Is this the thing for show and tell?" a boy asked Eun-hye, surprising her. Eun-hye looked up as more kids leaned over. "No, it's mine," Eun-hye answered, quickly putting the pouch back in her pocket. "Are you new here?" "What's your name?" a girl asked. "Eun-hye," said Eun-hye. "Oh, nay?" the girl asked, scrunching up her face. Oh, nay, the kids chanted. No, Eun-hye corrected. It's spelled U-N-H-E-I. It's pronounced Eun-hye. "Oh, it's Yo-hye?" the boy asked. "Like you, hey? What about hey you?" Just then, the bus pulled up to the school and the doors opened. Eun-hye hurried off. Hey, bye, the kids yelled as she left. Eun-hye felt herself blush. Eun-hye stood in the doorway of her new and noisy classroom. She was relieved that the kids on the bus had gone to other rooms, but her face still felt red. "Aren't you going in?" asked a curly-haired boy with lots of dots on his face. "You're the new girl, right?" he asked cheerfully. Eun-hye nodded, and before she could walk away the boy took her hand and pulled her through the door. "Here's the new girl," he announced so loudly that the teacher, Mr. Kokotos, almost dropped his glasses. Mr. Kokotos thanked them and greeted Eun-hye. "Please welcome our newest student," he said to the class. She and her family just arrived from Korea last week. Eun-hye smiled broadly and tried not to show her nervousness. "What's your name?" someone shouted. Eun-hye pictured the kids on the bus. I haven't picked one yet," she told the class, "but I'll let you know by next week." As Mr. Kokoto showed her to her desk, she felt many round and curious eyes on her. "Why doesn't she have a name?" she heard someone whisper. "Maybe she robbed a bank and Korea needs like a new identity," a boy replied. On the bus home, nobody teased her, but Eun-hye kept thinking about her name. "How about school, Eun-hye? How was school, Eun-hye?" her mother asked when she walked in. "Did you understand the teacher?" Eun-hye simply nodded. She unpacked her school bag and set the red pouch by a photograph of her grandmother. "I'm glad you are learning English well," her mother said. "You must study hard, behave nicely, and get good grades to show that you're a good Korean." "I will," replied Eun-hye. But I think I would like to change my name to my own American name," she said quickly. Her mother looked up at her with surprise. "Why? Eun-hye is a beautiful name. Your grandma and I went to a name master for it." "But it's so hard to pronounce," Eun-hye complained. "I don't want to be different from all the American kids." "You are different, Eun-hye," her mother said. "That's a good thing." Eun-hye just wrinkled her nose. Later that day, Eun-hye and her mother went grocery shopping in their new neighborhood. They passed Fadil's Falafel, Tony's Pizza, and Dot's Deli. A big graffiti-painted garbage truck roared like a lion as it took off down the street. Nothing sounded or looked familiar until they got to go to Kim's Market. The sign was both in English and Korean. Her mother picked up cabbage to make kimchi, Korean-style spicy pickled cabbage, and other vegetables and meat. She also found some seaweed, Eunhae's favorite, for soup. It made Eunhae smile. Just because we've moved to America, her mom says, doesn't mean we have to stop eating Korean food. At the checkout counter, a friendly man smiled at Eunhae. Helping your mother with shopping, he asked. Eunhae nodded. I'm Mr. Kim, he said. What's your name? Eunhae, she answered. Ah, what a beautiful name, he said. Doesn't it mean grace? Eunhae nodded again. My mother and grandmother went to a name master for it, she told him. A graceful name for a graceful girl, Mr. Kim said as he put his groceries into bags. Welcome to the neighborhood, Eunhae. That evening, Eunhae stood in front of the bathroom mirror. Hi, my name is Amanda, she said cheerfully, then wrinkled her nose. Hi, my name is Laura. Maybe not. Her smile turned down. Nothing sounded right. Nothing felt right. I don't think American kids will like me, she worried as she began to brush her teeth. Hi, my name is Judy, she said in the mirror with her mouth full of toothpaste. The next morning, when Eunhae arrived at school, she found a glass jar on her desk with some pieces of paper in it. Eunhae took it out and read it out loud. Daisy. That's my baby sister's nickname. But she said you can use it if you want, said Cindy, who sat next to her. Eunhae took out the rest of the paper. Tamale, she read. I got it from a storybook, said Nate. She was smart and brave. Eunhae nodded and unfolded another piece of paper. Wednesday? Yeah, you came here on Wednesday, said Ralph. Thank you for your help, a smile spread over Eunhae's face. Ralph quickly said, we'll put more names in it. You can pick whatever you like, or pick them all. You'll have the longest name in history. At 3 o'clock, the bell rang for the end of the school day. Eunhae looked out the window and saw it was sprinkling. It's the same rain, she thought, but in a different place. She watched other kids leaving in groups. Hey, a familiar voice called out to her. Eunhae turned around to see the curly-haired boy again. I'm Joey, he said. And you? Don't you have any name? Eunhae thought for a moment. Well, I can show you, she said, and took out a small red pouch. She pressed the wooden block on the ink pad and then stamped it on the piece of paper. This is my name stamp, she said. My grandma gave it to me in Korea. In Korea, I can use it as a signature when I open a bank account or write a letter. And whenever I miss my grandma, I use it to fill a piece of paper. Want to try it? She offered the stamp to Joey, and he carefully inked the stamp and then pressed it hard on the paper. The red characters gleamed against the whiteness. Wow, that's beautiful, Joey said. Can I keep the paper? Sure, Eunhae said. And then the two of them shared her umbrella as they walked to the school bus. Every day, the jar got fuller with more names, and Eunhae read them all. She found a few names she liked. Miranda, Stella, Avery. They sounded interesting. I hope you choose the name I put in, Marco told her at the snack time. I put in 3 more, said Ralph, Madison Park and Lex. Those are my favorite street names. Maybe you should close your eyes and draw a name, Rosie suggested. Ralph frowned. That's silly. What if she doesn't like the name she draws? Well, we didn't get to choose our names when we were born, did we? Rosie argued. Everyone thought about this. Ah, yes. Very true. When Eunhae got home from school that day, her little brother ran to give her a letter. It was from her grandma. She opened it quickly. To my Eunhae, I hope you're enjoying your new school and new friends. Be sure to help your mother and your little brother. Here, the moon is up, but there the sun is up. No matter how far apart we are, no matter how different America is from Korea, you'll always be my Eunhae, your grandma forever. Eun-hye took out the wooden stamp and filled the paper with it. She thought for a long time in front of the bathroom mirror. On Saturday, Eun-hye walked to Mr. Kim's store. Mr. Kim was helping a customer, but he looked up to greeted her. "Hi, Eun-hye." "Hello, Mr. Kim," Eun-hye replied. She felt as if she was back in her old neighborhood in Korea. "Hey," said a customer, turning around. It was Joey. "Your name is Eun-hye?" he asked with his eyes open wide. Eun-hye looked quickly at Mr. Kim and then turned to Joey. She nodded slowly. "Yes, it's pronounced Eun-hye. And it means grace," Mr. Kim added. "Eun-hye," Joy said slowly, and this time perfectly. It made Eun-hye smile. "I'll have it ready for you tomorrow," said Mr. Kim to Joy. "Thank you, Mr. Kim. See you Monday, Eun-hye," Joy said to her, and he left before she could ask him why he was at the store. Sneaky little Joey. On Monday, Eun-hye came to class early to look at the names one last time, but the jar wasn't on her desk. Instead, there was a single piece of paper with a name on it. Eun-hye slipped it in her pocket. "Where's the name jar?" Ralph asked as soon as he saw it was gone. "I don't know," Eun-hye said. "It wasn't on Mr. Kokoto's desk or on any other desk, and it wasn't on the counters or any of the shelves." As the other kids arrived, they helped look. Soon, Mr. Kokoto's came in and Ralph shouted to him, "The name jar is gone! The jar with all the names in it!" "Gone?" Mr. Kokoto's replied. With a look of concern, he asked Eun-hye, Did he get a chance to read all the names?" Eun-hye nodded. She took a breath. "I'm ready to introduce myself," she said. Eun-hye wrote her name in both English and Korean on the chalkboard. "I like the beautiful names and the funny names you thought of me," she told the class. "But I realized I like my name best, so I chose it again. Korean names mean something. Eun-hye means grace." "Grace? Grace Eun-hye," shouted Ralph. Everyone tried to say, "Eun-hye, Eun-ye, Eun-hye." Eun-hye said her name again slowly and clearly. Soon the kids began to say it better, even Mr. Kokotos. They applauded Eun-hye's choice. "I was named after a flower," Rosie whispered to Eun-hye. "Lots of American names have meanings too," Mr. Kokotos reminded everyone. When the class was dismissed, Eun-hye heard her new friend say goodbye. "Bye, Eun-hye. See you tomorrow." "Goodbye, Eun-hye." Eun-hye said goodbye and then looked around for Joey, but he was already gone. Where did Joey go? "Eun-hye, Eun-hye, come downstairs." Mother called up to Eun-hye. "Your friend is here." Eun-hye rushed down to see who she meant. There stood Joey, and in his arms was the name jar. "Where did he find it?" asked Eun-hye breathlessly. Joey looked embarrassed. Well, I took it, but only because I wanted you to keep your own name, and you did." He reached in and pulled out the names. "Do you want to keep them?" he asked. "Thank you. I'll keep them as a souvenir," Eun-hye said happily. Then she pulled out a piece of paper from her pocket. "Do you want this back?" Joy grinned. "You can keep it. I'll return the name jar to the class. Maybe you could put some Korean nicknames in it for us, names with good meanings." "I could do that," agreed Eun-hye. "I've already got a Korean nickname," Joy said. Mr. Kim helped me choose it." Carefully, he pulled a small silver felt pouch from his pocket. Then he took out a dark wooden stamp with beautiful Korean characters carved sharply into it. He pressed it on the ink pad and then on the piece of paper next to her name. "Chinku," read Eun-hye. "That means friend." And Chinko smiled back. And that was the name jar. What's your name? Do you have any fun names with cool meanings? My name doesn't have a meaning, I don't think. So the next book we're going to read is The People Could Fly. Y'all ready? Here we go. They say the people could fly, say that long ago in Africa, some of the people knew magic, and they would walk up on the air like climbing up on a gate. And they flew like blackbirds over the fields, black, shiny wings flapping against the blue up there. Imagine flying. So cool. Then, many of the people were captured for slavery. The ones that could fly shed their wings. They couldn't take their wings across the water on the slave ships. Too crowded, don't you know? The folks were full of misery then, got sick with the up and down of the sea. So they forgot about flying when they could no longer breathe the sweet scent of Africa. Say, the people who could fly kept their power, although they shed their wings. They kept their secret magic in the land of slavery. They looked the same as the other people from Africa who had been coming over, who had dark skin. Say, you couldn't tell anyone anymore who could fly from who couldn't. One such who could was an old man. Call him Toby. And standing tall, yet afraid, was a young woman who once had wings. Call her Sarah. Now Sarah carried a babe tied to her back. She trembled so hard, worked and scorned. The slaves labored in the fields from sunup to sundown. The owner of the slaves calling himself their master. Say he was a hard lump of clay, a hard, glinty coal, a hard rock pile, wouldn't be moved. His overseer on horseback pointed out to the slaves who were slowing down. So one called driver cracked his whip over the slow ones to make them move faster. That whip was a slice open cut of pain. So they did move faster. Had to. They had no choice. Sarah hoed and chopped the row as the babe on her back slept. Say the child grew hungry. The babe started up bowling too loud. Sarah couldn't stop to feed it, couldn't stop to soothe and quiet it down. She let it cry. She didn't want to. She had no heart to croon to it. Keep that thing quiet, yelled the overseer. He pointed his finger at the babe. The woman scrunched low. The driver cracked his whip across the babe anyhow. The babe hollered like a hurt child, and the woman fell to the earth. The old man was there. Toby came and helped her to her feet. I must go soon, she told him. Soon, he said. Sarah couldn't stand up straight any longer. She was too weak. The sun burned her face. The babe cried and cried. Pity me, oh, pity me. Say, it sounded like. Sarah was so sad and starving, she sat down in the row. Get up, you black cow, called the overseer. He pointed his hand, and the driver's whip snarled around Sarah's leg. Her sack dress tore into rags. Her legs bled onto the earth. She couldn't get up. Toby was there, where there was no one to help her and the babe. Now, before it's too late, he panted Sarah. Now, father. Yes, daughter, the time is come, Toby answered. Go, as you know how to go. He raised his arms, holding them out to her. Come, Yali, come, Baba Tambe. And more magic words, said so quickly they sounded like whispers and sighs. The woman lifted one foot in the air, then the other. She flew clumsily at first, with the child now held tightly in her arms. Then she felt the magic, the African mystery. She rose just as free as a bird, as light as a feather. The overseer rode after her, hollering. Sarah flew over the fences. She flew over the woods. Tall trees could not snag her, nor could the overseer. She flew like an eagle now until she was gone from sight. No one dared speak about it, couldn't believe it, but it was, because they that was there saw it was. Say the next day was dead hot in the fields. A young man, slave from the heat. The driver come and whipped him. Toby come over and spoke words to the fallen one. The words of ancient Africa once heard are never remembered completely. The young man forgot them as soon as he heard them. They went way inside him. He got up and rolled over on the air. He rode it a while, and he flew away. Another fell from the heat. Toby was there. He cried out to the fallen and reached his arms out to them. Kum kunka yali kum tambe. Whispers and sighs. And they too rose on the air. They rode the hot breezes. The ones flying were black and shining sticks wheeling above the head of the overseer. They crossed the roads and the fields and the fences and streams and were away. Seize the old man, cried the overseer. I heard him say the magic words. Seize him. The one calling himself master came running, and the driver got his whip ready to curl around old Toby and tie him up. The slave owner took his hip gun from its place. He meant to kill old black Toby. But Toby just laughed. Say he threw back his head and said, hee hee. Don't you know who I am? Don't you know that some of us in this field, he said it to their faces, we are the ones who fly. And he sighed the ancient words that were a dark promise. And he said them all around to the others in the field under the whip. Buba yali, buba tambe. There was a great outcrying. The bent back straight ended up. Old and young who were called slaves and could fly joined hands. Say, like they would ring sing, but they didn't shuffle in a circle. They didn't sing. They rose on the air. They flew in a flock that was black against the heavenly blue. Black crows or black shadows, it didn't matter. They went so high, way above the plantation, way above over the slavery land. Say they flew away to freedom. And the old man, old Toby, flew behind them, taking care of them. He wasn't crying. He wasn't laughing. He was the seer. His gaze flew on the plantation where the slaves who could not fly waited. Take us with you. Their looks spoke it, but they were afraid to shout it. Toby couldn't take them with him, hadn't had the time to teach them to fly. They must wait for a chance to run. Goodbye, the old man, Toby spoke to them. Poor souls. And he was flying gone. So they say, the overseer told it. The one that called himself the master said it. It was a lie. A trick of the light. The driver kept his mouth shut. The slaves who could not fly told about the people who could fly to their children when they were free. When they sat close on the fire in the free land, they told it. They did so love firelight and freedom and Dillon. They say that the children of the ones who could not fly told their children, and now me, I have told it to you. And that was The People Who Could Fly. All right, thank you so much for joining us today. I hope to see you next time on another episode of Stories for Little People. Bye.